As Albuquerque considers major pro-homes updates to its zoning code, we're hearing a lot of questions about neighborhoods, affordability, and unintended consequences. So we wanted to see if another New Mexico city has already done this. That led us south to Las Cruces, where the city council recently passed Realize Las Cruces, a citywide zoning reform package similar to what we are now considering here in Albuquerque. We spoke with District 5 Councilor Becky Coran to ask what changed, what didn't, and what can Albuquerque learn.
Teach at the community college. I live in our community. I was hearing from my students at the community college that they wanted to be able to stay in Las Cruces and live here and thrive. They have told me throughout my time campaigning and living in Las Cruces is that they want their family to be able to thrive in their neighborhood. And in my district, which includes a lot of single family homes, people really wanted to be able to stay in their home, their neighbors and family. If they had college kids, they wanted them to be able to stay with them. Being able to walk to a store is a really high priority for a lot of people, even though that's not necessarily how cities in the West have been built.
So what exactly is Realize Las Cruces, and why did the city decide to take on a zoning reform this broad?
Realize Las Cruces is a comprehensive zoning update, which really looks at a number of things related to what people can build, what sort of property rights individuals have related to their home. It makes it easier for businesses to start in a range of places throughout the city. It helps us identify places where we want to use infill development to grow businesses and housing. And it helps us center pedestrians, cyclists, and really walkable communities that I know everyone is looking for. Other thing that I think I found on council was of housing insecurity, including homelessness. We were making it really difficult to address the issue fundamentally of people getting housing at every level. You know, college students are struggling to find housing. Working people couldn't live near where they had to go to work.
One of the biggest questions we hear in Albuquerque is whether zoning reform actually affects affordability or homelessness. We asked Councilor Coran about how Las Cruces thought about this connection.
So I think thinking about the big picture of housing insecurity and homelessness, it's really important that we're pulling on every lever to make sure that we can address that at the root causes, but also at a very, sort of proximal place in people's neighborhoods. Build more housing, it addresses homelessness. There are a ton of things affecting this ecosystem, but really it's a market, right? And so our housing market was narrowing and our population is growing consistently. And we know that we were short about 5,600 units at the start of our campaign to build more affordable housing. I think in the bigger housing scheme, affordability is fundamentally something that we only have, we can't affect interest rates, right? We can't affect private equity horning in on people's access to apartments, right? But we can affect what's built in our community. And to make sure that we ensure affordability for people in Las Cruces, we had to do the thing fundamentally that just opened the door for people to be able to build more housing. And Realize has done that. There are so many variables that contribute to this, but we know that the rate of increase of housing prices and apartment prices has slowed dramatically in the last year. And so I do think that has something to do with us reducing that backlog, finding more places, more diverse places for people to live, and giving more people access to building new things like casitas in their backyards.
Another common concern is what zoning reform means for neighborhoods, especially historic areas, traffic, and how it can help prevent gentrification.
I think folks here have a particular sense of we love our neighborhoods, including those historical districts, and we don't want to just sell out for sort of like our downtown, which has gone through this really difficult transition and is now coming around to be a place that people want to be. I think casitas, tienditas, one of the things that folks in historic neighborhoods say is we would love to have less traffic, right? And those things enable that. There's also a really strong sort of counter narrative to gentrification, right? The more people who can stay in different accessible housing units within your neighborhood, the less likely it is to be susceptible to gentrification or out-of-state buyouts. So I think that those kinds of things, passing zoning reform to enable those organic uses in neighborhoods really enables a more diverse array of both housing options and community members. I think it puts a wall up against gentrification, which I think historic districts are especially susceptible to.
A lot about the debate around zoning comes down to fear of rapid change.
This zoning code just enables people to do something different when the time comes for them to do something different. But it also will make a huge impact on future development, which we know we need to continue to develop. Like we're growing, We know that we want the city to look a certain way, and this was the best opportunity for us to shape that. So a lot of the fears were related to things that we really were trying to address in Realize Las Cruces: lighting, traffic, pedestrian friendliness, parking. And so far, again, it just gives folks the opportunity to develop things. I'm really still waiting for a tiendita in my neighborhood. I don't have one yet, but I really hope that one shows up because I love a bodega cat.
Zoning reform ultimately allows for options and evolution, not rapid forced change. And while we're still waiting for bodega cats of our own, in part 2, we look at the fears people had about Realize Las Cruces and what actually happened.